I was completely sure Darth Vader said, "Luke, I am your father." Like 100% sure. It's one of the most famous movie lines ever, right? So I searched it up, expecting to hear the line I remembered. But then the clip played, and Darth Vader didn't say it. He said, "No, I am your father." Not Luke, no Luke at all. And suddenly I had a very uncomfortable thought. If I was this sure about something that never happened, what else am I remembering wrong? Because this isn't just me. Millions of people remember the exact same wrong things. So how can millions of people be so sure they remember something that apparently never happened? This is called the Mandela Effect. It's when a large group of people remember the same detail wrong, even though the real version says otherwise. And the name comes from one of the strangest examples. Some people strongly remembered Nelson Mandela dying in prison. They remembered seeing news reports, they remembered teachers talking about it, some even remembered the funeral. But Nelson Mandela did not die in prison. He was released, became president of South Africa, and died in 2013. That's the first real reveal. The Mandela Effect is not just forgetting. It's remembering something wrong with confidence. Then I found the one that made me sit up. The Berenstein Bears. I remembered it as Berenstein, with an E.
Berenstein. That just sounds correct, doesn't it? But the real name is Berenstain, with an A. And this one feels weird because it lives in childhood memory. It's not some random fact. It's bedtime, school libraries, old book covers, cartoon afternoons. That warm, fuzzy place in your brain where everything feels safe. And then someone walks in and says, "Actually, the memory label on that box is wrong." Once I saw that, the internet opened a trap door. The Monopoly Man? I remembered him with a monocle, tiny rich guy glass over one eye. But he doesn't have one. Pikachu? A lot of people remember a black tip on his tail. But Pikachu's tail does not have a black tip. And the creepy part is, these wrong memories feel visually obvious. Like your brain says, of course the fancy Monopoly guy has a monocle. Of course Pikachu has black details on the tail. I can literally see it. But that's the problem. Sometimes your brain is not showing you what you saw. It's showing you what makes sense. This is where the mystery starts becoming uncomfortable. Most of us think memory works like a video file. You experience something, your brain records it, and later you press play. But memory is not a recording. It's more like rebuilding a scene from pieces. A little detail from what you saw, a little detail from what you expected, a little detail from what someone told you later. And then your brain stitches it together and says, "Here, this is what happened." The scary part? It doesn't always tell you which pieces are original. Your brain loves patterns. That's useful most of the time. If you see smoke, you think fire. If you see a rich cartoon man, you think top hat, cane, monocle. If you see Pikachu's black ears, your brain might complete the design and add black to the tail too. It's not doing this because it's broken. It's doing this because it's efficient. Your brain doesn't want to store every pixel of your life. That would be exhausting. So it stores the meaning, the vibe, the pattern. Then later, when you remember it, your brain fills in the missing details. And sometimes it fills them in wrong. But that still leaves the creepy question. Why do so many people remember the same wrong thing? This is where the internet becomes gasoline. One person says, "Wait, wasn't it Berenstein?" Then another person says, "Yes, I remember that too." Then a post goes viral. Then a video repeats it. Then a comment section fills with people saying, "I swear this was real." And every time you see the wrong version repeated, it becomes easier for your brain to picture it. Not because it's true, because it's familiar, and familiar things feel true. At this point, I started feeling like I was walking through a museum of things that never happened.
Movie quotes that were never said. Logos that never looked like that. Cartoons with details that never existed. Childhood memories that felt real, but had the wrong label. And the strangest part is that nobody has to lie. No villain needs to sneak into your room and change your books. The brain can do it quietly, one tiny edit at a time. And because everyone's brain uses similar shortcuts, millions of people can accidentally arrive at the same wrong answer. That is way creepier than one person forgetting. Of course, this is where the internet takes a sharp left turn. Because when millions of people remember the same wrong thing, the fun explanation is obvious. Alternate timelines, parallel universes. Some people imagine we slipped from one reality into another, and only tiny details changed. A book title,
a movie quote, a cartoon tale. And honestly, I get why that theory is tempting. Because the universe changed almost feels less insulting than my brain made a mistake. But we don't need another universe to explain the Mandela effect. We just need one very powerful, very messy brain. A false memory doesn't always feel fake. That's what makes it dangerous. It can come with images, it can come with emotion, it can come with a whole little story attached. You might remember sitting on the floor watching a cartoon. You might remember the cereal box on the table.
You might remember the color of the room, but some of those details might be real, and some might be added later. Your brain doesn't store memories in sealed containers, it stores them in pieces, and every time you remember something, you might slightly rewrite it. Not a lot, just enough. The worst part is that confidence is not proof. You can be completely sure and still be wrong. And that feels unfair, because confidence feels like evidence. If I can picture it clearly, shouldn't that mean I saw it? If everyone else remembers it too, shouldn't that mean it happened? Not always. Sometimes confidence just means your brain has practiced the memory many times. The more you repeat it, the smoother it becomes. And the smoother it becomes, the more real it feels. That's why a wrong movie quote can feel more familiar than the real one. And now, the Mandela effect stops being a fun internet mystery and becomes personal. Because maybe this doesn't only happen with logos and cartoons. Maybe it happens with arguments, old conversations, embarrassing moments, things someone said to you years ago, things you are sure you said back. Your brain might not be saving the exact event. It might be saving your interpretation of the event, how it felt, what you thought it meant, who you believed was right. And over time, that version can become the memory. Not because you're lying.
Because your brain is trying to make the past make sense. So when people argue about the Mandela effect, I don't think the most interesting question is, did the universe change? I think the more unsettling question is, how much of my past is being rebuilt every time I look at it? Because the Monopoly Man doesn't need a monocle to scare me. Pikachu doesn't need a black tail tip. Darth Vader doesn't need to say Luke. The scary part is that my brain was ready to swear they did, and it didn't feel like a guess. It felt like a memory. The Mandela effect is creepy because it shows us something we don't like admitting. Your memory is powerful. It can hold faces, places, voices, feelings, and tiny details from years ago. But it is also fragile. It edits, it fills gaps, it borrows from other people, it repeats things until they feel true, and most of the time, you never notice. So tonight, think of a memory you are completely sure about. A movie line, a childhood logo, a story your family always tells, something you can see perfectly in your head. Now ask yourself one question. Do you remember what happened? Or do you remember the version your brain rebuilt for you?